King Clancy has asked me to do another brief talk about the shaman's death because Clancy is considering looking for a shaman's death because he is stuck. He is stuck, he is stuck, he is stuck. Mostly it's because he refuses to get inner silence. He doesn't work on inner silence. And that is basically where we've come to why he does what he does repetitively day after day. He needs a change. And basically, I keep telling him now and again, you're going to need more Instagrams. You're going to need more YouTubes. You're going to need more self censorship. You're going to need more. How am I ever going to get out of here? Now and again, I talk about King Clancy. He's basically someone who is a fat controller, a major control freak. Control freaks all reside in what's known as the mental body. They, whether they lack emotion or not, it's not important to them. They're intellectual, very, very intellectual, which, on the scale of human consciousness, the highest peak of human intellectualism is 499 on the scale that goes up to 1,000. It's an exponential scale. So 499 is just a garbage rating. 540 is unconditional love. And so if you're below 540, you're really in the garbage can. And that's where Clancy is. He's in the garbage clan because there's a number of them that are also in the same repertoire they want me to use. And tonight's example was I was out for dinner and somebody was telling a story, and someone who calibrated at 6 on the scale of human consciousness, very low vibe, interrupted someone's interesting, new to me story so that they could say absolutely nothing, just a long enough talk, very loud, over top of someone's conversation. So I missed out on the whole story that the person was telling. This happens all the time with this repertoire group. They are famous for it, and well, that's the story. If you're one of these kind of people that find yourself interrupting others when they're in the middle of telling a story, you need to work on developing inner silence, mostly through meditation, but also through getting yourself away from the constant stream of your thoughts that keep saying, I gotta interrupt somebody when they're in the middle of doing something. If you find yourself, someone starts talking and then you find an emotion well up in you that says, I gotta talk over top of whatever this person says because I don't like what they're saying, you gotta stifle that. In other words, you have to allow the other person to get well into their story. And if it's a story that you've heard before from the same person, sometimes that's a bore story. Sometimes what you do is you wait for a pause in the same story that they've told you before, and you ask a new question to try and get them to dig deeper into their story so you get something new, something different. Sometimes when you do that, the person telling the story will get really pissed off at you because they are used to giving their spiel. In other words, this is their story and they're sticking to it. And, even though you waited for a pause and for them to take a breath and, light up a cigarette or something or go to the bathroom, they might come at you and get really like right in your face, in which case you're going to have to get really, however you do it, but you're going to have to make it pretty clear that you're sick of listening to their stupid, shitty story. And you're going to have to give them your full opinion on why you're sick of their stupid, stupid story. And basically, you're going to have to either get very quiet, a very quiet voice, or a very loud voice or whatever it is that comes out. But you're going to have to get right in their face and tell them, if you don't let me have my turn to talk, then we're not going to be friends ever again. You're never going to sit at my table, and I'm not going to recommend you as a person for anybody else to go and talk to. In fact, I'm going to say, there's Mrs. Toxic over there. She'll tell you the same story 10 different times, won't change a word, and she won't have a conversation with you. She wants to dominate the conversation. Know anybody like that? If you're putting up with people telling you the same story over and over again, it's time to tell them, I've had enough of you. And if they interrupt you when you start telling them anything at all, you're just going to have to go with what comes out instead of stifling it. Don't stifle it internally. That's like not good. If there's something coming up that's, that you're stifling because you think, oh, well, I don't want to offend them or something, or they're my boss, or they're my mother, they're whatever, they're the Queen of England. You have to let that go, and you have to realize this is about setting a boundary, and the boundary is, I am not going to listen to your stupid story a million times, and then I'm not going to have you bite my head off when I ask you one probing question to try and get you to give me something more than the same spiel. Back to Clancy and his repertoire group that ruin other people's stories. We recommended the shaman's death because he has to get um, dissolve this mental body that he's got. It must be dissolved, and the personality that is involved with what we call King Clancy and his repertoire, or the multiple personalities, if they're going to come back, they'll have to be renewed and changed. And it'll have to be, some people say, with wisdom, you have to take away a lot of stuff. To get knowledge, it's usually, adding and adding more and more knowledge. But to get to wisdom, which is higher consciousness, you have to take away a lot. And a lot of the stuff that's got to get taken away is instincts. Instincts. Stink is the middle part of instinct. And, in the end, it's got to have to be something different than the same stupid routine that's going on that no one wants to see because it's beyond boring. That's your daily update. I'm Harry Weaver.